knows? Who knows? I don't know what's happening. I hate it here, bro. This is literally like if Shallow River by H.D. Carlton and Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas had a baby. Hey, my name is Kaylee. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. This is Read, Rant, Review, where, you guessed it, I read books and I do rant reviews. What is a rant review if you're curious? Pretty much that means I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna do my makeup, tell you all about a book that I read recently. Today's video being that of The Deviant King by Rina Kent. No, I made a mistake. So every Friday or Saturday, I post a poll for you guys to vote on what video that I do a review on next. This one won by a landslide. I made the mistake of putting it up and not doing thorough research about what the book was about. I'll never make that mistake again. But what is the book? This is a dark high school bully romance that was published in 2019, has 364 pages, currently 102,000 ratings on Goodreads with a 3.91. How in the fudge and crackers does it have a 3.91? I couldn't tell you, homie. Could not even begin to fathom. Anyway, it's part of a trilogy. That's the other mistake that I made. If there's anything that I hate, it's trilogies. I've learned something so important about myself. I need standalone books, and I hate bully romances, and I hate high school romances. The author was like 28, 29 years old when they wrote this book about a 17-year-old. I want to make that abundantly clear. I'm derailing already so quickly. This is about a 17-year-old, and there's spice scenes in it, and she gets like assaulted on page graphically, and I don't get it. So I'm here to suffer for you guys and recount this terrible fucking book. If you can't tell, I hated it. I hate it here. Literally all of my notes were I hate it here comments. So anyway, I'm going to tell you all about it. We'll be doing a beat by beat, chapter by chapter breakdown of the book, which means don't watch this video if you don't want spoilers. Don't watch this video if you are Rina Kent or a friend, fan, family stan, anything of the like. I've already made it clear where my stance is. Don't watch this if you liked it. I'll catch you in the next one. And the third disclaimer is a content or trigger warning that I like to put on my videos so that you know what you're getting into. I would love to provide you one. The author didn't. Author doesn't even have it on their website. No acknowledgement whatsoever. Do you know what the author does have, though? They have a dedication to all of the fighters. It's easy to lie down, but it takes courage to step up and fight. Author note. Hello, reader friend. If you're new to my books, you might not know that I write darker stories that can be intense, unsettling, and even disturbing. My characters and their journeys defy societal norms that aren't meant for everyone. Deviant King is a dark high school bully romance, mature new adult, and contains dubious situations that some readers might find offensive. If you're looking for a hero, Aiden is not it. If you, however, have been itching for a villain, then by all means, welcome to Aiden King's world. To remain true to characters, the vocabulary, grammar, and spelling, The Deviant King is written in British English. This book is part of a trilogy and is not a standalone. Yeah, I really messed up putting this on my poll for you guys, but that's fine. It's fine. Like I said, this is part of a trilogy. All in all, they have 8 books dedicated to this universe, which is a choice. I'm going to read you the blurb of it in case you have no idea what this book is. I did not. The villain isn't supposed to be king. I have a simple plan. Finish Royal Elite School and get into my dream university. One glance from the school's king blows my plan up in smoke. One glance and he suffocates my heir. One glance and he issues his death sentence. His first words spiral my life into irreparable chaos. I will destroy you. Everything about Aiden King is black. Black mind, black heart, black soul. I should have remained quiet and endured the time I had left. I didn't. I made the irrevocable oh Jesus Christ. I made the irrevocable mistake of provoking the king on his throne, the devil in his hell, and now I'll pay the price. Being hated by Aiden King is dangerous, but being wanted by him is lethal. Girl. Again, 17-year-old in high school, 18-year-old in high school. And also, hey, I know it's semantics, but could we use, like, not black as the adjective that we use to describe his darkness? Can you just say, like, dark. I don't know. I don't like, anyway, it's like such nitpicky bullshit, but I hated that. Like throughout the book, she's like, he's so black. I don't know. It just rubbed me the wrong way. With the intro out of the way, I'm going to start doing my makeup now and tell you about this freaking book. I guess the one thing before I do is by the time this video goes up, I will have made a $100 donation to Rant. I can't say all of the words of what that organization's acronym stands for, so I'll put up a screenshot of it. But if you are a viewer or subscriber or member of this channel, I just want you to know that your viewership is currency. The time that you spend watching YouTube content is a currency. Every second that you watch a video, it's worth some amount of money to some advertiser, okay? Let's not front with each other about what that means. So I try to be responsible with the monetization that I have on this channel, God bless. And I give to organizations like Rant or like domestic violence hotlines and stuff like that because ultimately, I'm making money off of the backs of these stories of abused people. And if your argument is, well, it's fiction, like who really cares? You can write whatever, it's just a fake thing. Yeah, but it's happening to real life people, and real life people should have the opportunity to get out of those abusive and shitty situations. So if I'm going to be making money telling these stories and recapping them to you, I'm also going to be giving money back to those people who need it, and these people that these stories are written about or who their situations are written about and monetized by these authors, okay? So I just want you to know that in good conscience, you're consuming material and it is going back to a portion of it is going back to helping folks. In addition to that, I mentioned it earlier, make sure that you vote in the polls that I post on Fridays or Saturdays to pick what I review next on the channel. If anything, I'm here for the people. I'm here for you guys. And with that being said, all of my videos are now on Spotify. So if it is easier for you to watch videos on Spotify, you have the opportunity to. So you can check them out over there. I have the link in the description box below. Okay, I think I've wasted enough time. So our book opens up with a 16-year-old Elsa. Yes, like from Frozen, Elsa. And yes, it's mentioned through the entire book, the movie Frozen. That's her nickname, actually, is Frozen. And it is used 67 times in reference to her or her cold personality. And yeah, it's so great. Her parents died in a tragic accident 8 years ago, and so she's living with her aunt and uncle. Our book opens with her aunt driving her to school. It's her first day of school at this very prestigious high school, as in most prime ministers, parliament members, and business tycoons graduated from this school. The high privileged education can give me a sure push to Cambridge. Aunt Blair and Uncle Jackson studied there, and they're my role models in everything. And that's her aunt and uncle that adopted her and everything. She lives to essentially become her aunt and uncle. Like, she looks up to them so much that, you know, she's going to school, she adopts hobbies and traits and thoughts and like whatever, anything that she can do to be like her aunt and uncle, which is understandable. Like, I get it. She looks up to them. They really helped her out when she was growing up. It's a whole thing, right? So the school though is called Royal Elite School, and when she gets there, she immediately spots a chubby outcast girl named Kim. She's literally only an outcast because she's chubby and she gets bullied for it. I love it here. How long until she loses weight and becomes a pick-me and then they turn on each other? I feel like that's the only way that this book is gonna go. Anyway, they befriend each other. They're like, oh yeah, we have to be friends. Like, we have to stick together. Like, it's gonna be great. And ultimately, Kim is showing her around the school. I think this is like her sophomore year. So Kim is like walking her around the school, showing her what's up. And they end up running into the football players, aka soccer for all of my Americans. I'm gonna call it soccer for like understandability, considering I and most of my audience are American. So sorry to my other people, love and respect. I kept getting confused because I imagined these guys like kicking a actual like American football back and forth, and I was so confused. So I'm just gonna use the term soccer. So they meet the soccer players. They're like the big dogs on campus, and it's a huge deal, and they're a bunch of douchebags. Who are they? I ask, curiosity getting the better of me. They're the elite of the elite. Her voice trembles genuinely. It trembles. If you want to have a peaceful life in RES, that's the Royal Elite School, in RES, you have to be on their good side. That's ridiculous. Kids can't own a school. Who's the golden boy? That's Xander Knight, and he's trouble, she blurts fast, as if her butt is on fire. I like you, Elsa, and I mean it when I say stay away. okay, Jesus. So in the middle of looking at them, one other guy, not the golden boy, not Xander. Yeah, I honest to God thought that this was written by like a Gen Z person, but nope. It's like firmly a millennial woman just choosing the most cliche names ever. It's fine. So she's looking over at Xander, and there's another guy that catches her eye. And even if I want to break eye contact, I can't. He stares at me with a slightly tilted head and a silent, manic interest as if he's meeting an old friend or foe. Kimberly grabs me by the jacket and pulls me in the direction of the exit. What? I'm incredulous and a bit hazy from breaking eye contact with that boy. Just walk, Elsa, she hisses as her quick footsteps pad along the pavement. Why are you taking me away? King, she mumbles under her breath. Aiden freaking King. And who's that? He's as much of a king as his last name, heir of King Enterprises and of this damn school. His and the others' parents own this place, and you don't want to start shit with them. She's like, okay, I guess. Fucking weirdo. I was just looking at the dude. So they're on their way, you know, leaving the room, whatever, leaving the hallway. I don't know, wherever the hell they are. I should have seen what'll happen. What? I should have seen what'll happen next coming. Should have seen what'll. I don't. A strong hand wraps around my throat and pushes me against the wall. My back hits the brick and pain shoots down my spine and tightens the pit of my stomach. The dark shadow on his face terrifies me more than his grip on my throat. Hey, 16-year-old, just want to remind you guys. His other hand clutches my jaw and my lips tremble at the thought that he'll snap my neck. What are you doing? He leans forward, his mouth hovers inches away from mine and growls, I will destroy you. The words seal my fate. What the dude? Okay, so that's the introduction that we're given. No other explanation, no other anything, just her getting cornered by Aiden King and him saying that he'll destroy her. Now, I forgot to mention the trigger warning earlier. My bad. I will reiterate it now. A lot of assault. I literally cannot make it any more clear to you. The entire book, this was like possibly the most on-page assault that I have ever read in a book. And that means a lot given some of the other authors that we've read on this channel, right? This is literally like if Shallow River by H.D. Carlton and Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas had a baby. Literally, that's what this book is, okay? So much on-page assault of a, again, can't reiterate this enough, 17-year-old. And it's painted as like a love story and how she actually like wants to be in the relationship and she actually wants the things that he's doing to her. Okay? Not good. Not good at all. So just jump ship if you need to. I totally get it. There was like some conversations and commentary on here that was like really triggering, even for me, and I'm like very healed and very much in therapy for shit that's happened to me, and I was still like, oh, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. It's a lot. So I just want you to know that, okay? In chapter 2, we fast forward 2 years. It's the beginning of their senior year of high school, and Kim spent the summer at a camp and she lost 20 pounds, and now she's like unrecognizably hot, which I know I predicted it. Like, I know that I said that. I just didn't think it would happen so quickly. Honestly, kind of impressed with my guesstimations here, okay? Regardless of her good looks, she's still getting bullied by the school's queen bee. Her name is Silver Queens. Yes, that is her last name. So we have Xander Knight, Aiden King, and Silver Queens. It is fucking ridiculous, dude. Whatever. Not even trying, I guess. Or trying so hard, and it's just like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I, honest to God, don't get it. Anyway, Silver bullies Kim and Elsa, like telling them that they're peasants and that Kim's still fat and like all this like really horrible shit. And all of her little minions and stuff are also like bullying and talking crap to them. They go inside, kind of ignore this bullying, and we are immediately introduced to the idea that Xander Knight hates Kim. He also engages in bullying and talking shit about her and how ugly she is and all this other stuff. And like, yeah, even though you lost weight, like you're still like a ugly POS pretty much, which is like, God damn, guys. And not even just like calling her these names and like talking crap and stuff. He literally like corners her and starts to manhandle her. So Elsa pulls out her phone to record this, to like try and get this information on him so she can finally like report him to somebody for being a freaking menace to society. And as she's recording, she's like, yes, finally, like justice will be had. And when she turns around, she runs into the chest of Aiden King. And that takes us into chapter 3. It's the same thing. Aiden King hates her, and we don't know why. We're not really ever explained anything, why anybody hates anybody. Because again, this is a trilogy, and God forbid you be a good enough writer to get your story across in 300 pages. You have to stretch it out to like 1,000 and act like that's cool. I was looking at the Goodreads comments because I wanted to know what happened. I'm like, obviously I've wasted enough of my time. I'm not reading anything else in the trilogy. But all of the Goodreads comments were like, oh yeah, this book actually sucks. They were like, this series sucks. Like book 2 and book 3 are literally the exact same thing that happened in book 1. Like it's so repetitive and it's so blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, goddamn, if these fans of this are saying that, then geez, maybe I am right in being a hater. You know what I mean? I was like, God, I was like, geez Louise, dude, you know how shitty you have to be to like have your own fan base talk crap about you? Anyway, Aiden manhandles her to get her phone away from her to like, you know, delete the video of Xander harming Kim. Don't worry though, because even though she is scared shitless of him, you know, hurting her and you know, kind of throwing her around and doing all this stuff, we are reminded in detail about how hot he is and how good he smells and how just attractive he is. Because God fucking bid somebody just be crappy. They all just have to be such freaking little hottie toddies, and that has to be the primary focus. Because, hey, according to all of these books, it's not really abuse if the guy's hot. It's only abuse if he's like fat and ugly. I love that for us. I love that so much for society, that's what we're normalizing in these types of books. That's what we're normalizing in romance books, especially young adult romance books. Kaylee, it's not marketed towards young adults. It's about a 17-year-old. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And if it's not, and you're a grown-ass adult reading about a 17-year-old, okay, Drake. God damn, dude. Anyway, I need to move on. So he is, you know, kind of cornering her, talking crap to her, and Xander comes over. And Aiden says, she recorded you. Aiden doesn't spare a glance at me. I'm sure she's thinking of using it against you on social media, in the press, to ruin yours and your father's future, that sort of thing. I couldn't keep my jaw from dropping even if I tried to. Aiden figured out my plan to a T. Am I that obvious? Girl, what the f*** else would you be using that for? What do you mean? Am I that obvious? Okay, I hate it here, bro. In chapter 4, this chapter is the beginning of what I would like to call some of the most apparent on-page essay that I have ever read. And I will, in fact, not be saying anything in more detail than that, but I will say that his response to her saying that she will report him for assault, he tells her that she was born to suffer and that it's her lucky day because he'll make her report come true. And hey, again, I know I've said it a lot for only being like 30 minutes into this video. This is happening in a high school hallway with a 17-year-old. So in response to him saying that she deserves to suffer and she's just this horrible person, she thinks about her old Chinese war books. I'm not kidding you. She refers to these old Chinese war books 5 times throughout the book. Specifically, she's referencing Art of War, which is a great book, but goddamn, dude. Anyway, she thinks use your opponent's attack mechanism and asks what he wants. He says, you never cry. He says, and you deserve to always be crying. And he points at a scar that she has on her chest. He like ripped her shirt open, points to it, and he says, this should have killed you. Jesus Christ. With a few words, he thrust me back to my child self, to the fear, the helplessness, the unknown. He's right. That heart surgery almost killed me, but that's not the reason behind my unshed tears. It's the memories surrounding the surgery, or the lack thereof. The reason I hate the scar so much isn't because of the surgery or the non-aesthetic appearance. It's because the scar is a reminder that everything before it is blank. All I have left are nightmares and phobias and a distant reminder that I once had parents. The scar represents the missing part of me. What the fuck? She runs home after that, understandably so. She's like, I'm not gonna finish school today, actually. She's like, actually, I think that's enough for me today. She runs home to go and take a nap. In chapter 5, nothing really happens in this chapter. She has a nightmare and we get a little bit more interaction with her, like between her aunt, and her uncle. And she can't stop thinking about Aiden King. It's very gross. She's already romanticizing him and how hot he is and like, why would he do this to me? And like, oh my God, he's just so attractive. Fucking hate it here. In chapter 6, it's the next day at school and Aiden is confronting her about running away. And she, again, just keeps talking about how attractive he is and how she just can't take her eyes off of him. And she just doesn't understand why he would waste his time with somebody like her. Like, why would he even be talking to me right now? Ew. My neck and my face do not match colors at all. Shut up about it, okay? I guess I could fix it. Yeah, I'm not gonna fix it. I don't care. I'm wearing a hoodie. Just don't look at my neck, okay? I'm kidding, but seriously, just don't look at that. But she's also talking about how torn she is because she didn't technically say no to him. Like when he was grabbing her and doing stuff in the hallway to her, she never said no explicitly. So she's like, maybe I did want it. Like maybe I am attracted to him and I just like am torn about my feelings and just don't know how to express it. Like maybe that's what the issue is. Okay. And long story short, this leads into another sexual harassment thing that I won't detail, but she plays into it, you know, playing the whole like, okay, reverse psychology. I'll give him what he wants. And instead she says, hey, I don't want to do what you just said. How about you do that for me? He calls her out for playing a game with him. And she says, I'm just giving you what you want. And he says, you'll regret that. And bro, I honest to God cannot repeat this enough. What in the ever-loving fuck are we doing here? What and why and who and how and when and where did this ever get okayed and cleared to be published? How did somebody come up with this? Like, an editor looked at this and said, yeah, that's the one. That's a good book right there. Are you fucking high? Okay. Anyway, at the end of it, she ends up kicking him in the balls. She wasn't actually playing into anything with him. She just got him off guard enough to like kick him in the balls, which I love. Again, if you've seen any of my videos, I love when abusers get abused. I love karma. I love justice. I love payback. You know how bad something has to be for me to not be happy right now that a guy got kicked in the nuts for putting his hands on a woman? It's gotta be pretty fucking bad, man. So in chapter 7, Elsa has not seen Kim at all that day. And she goes to her English class. It's like one of their last classes of the day, like one of the last periods of the day. And it's the class that she has with all of the soccer/football player guys and Kim and Silver and all of Silver's little cronies. Like this is the culmination point in the story, or like place in the story where they all kind of gather for like important plot development, right? This is the common ground for all of that. So she goes to her English class. Kim's not there. Neither is Aiden. So she gets a little freaky outy. So she approaches the soccer players and she's like, hey, what the fuck? Where's Kim? Where's Aiden? They're saying, I don't know. Also like, oh my God, I can't believe you're talking to us. Like, that's so crazy. Right after class begins, Aiden walks in with Kim. And he says, yeah, you know, she was at the nurse's office. Like, I'm just bringing her back. Like, she was feeling really sick. Elsa is immediately suspicious of this and worried that he hurt Kim like in order to get back at her or something. But Kim looks kind of okay. She looks like she was crying, but she looks pretty okay for the most part. But Aiden comes over. He sits down behind Elsa or something and like throws her phone, and he's like, and gives her a little smirk. Up to no good. In chapter 8, after class, Kim runs out of class. Elsa follows her to be like, hey, did he hurt you? Like, what did Aiden do to you? Like, I'm actually like really genuinely concerned. Kim says nothing. He's not even that type of guy. Like, he's actually really nice. I don't know what your problem is. And, you know, she goes on to be like, Kim, he's not a good guy. He's like actually really, really bad. And Kim loses her mind all of a sudden, has like an actual breakdown. And she says, I'm not strong and put together like you, Ellie. Tears shine in her eyes. I can't freeze the world out as you do, and it hurts. All of it hurts. I'm tired, okay? I'm just so fucking tired of this shit. It was 10 years ago. 10 fucking years. Yes, I fucked up, but I'm only human, and I deserve a second chance. I remain rooted in place as Kim wipes her tears and storms around me to enter the class. She snapped. Kim isn't the type who snaps. She's so kind and quiet and bullied. What happened to make her snap? And what the hell did she mean by saying she deserved a second chance? A second chance from whom? Maybe I don't know my best friend as much as I thought I did. Something prickles at the back of my neck and my stomach tightens with a strange awareness. I turn around only to be captured by the smoky eyes of the Devil King, and he's smirking. Okay. Do we ever know what happens? No. Do we ever know what her thing is that she messed up, 10 years ago? No, we don't actually ever learn anything. It gets mentioned that Xander, right? Xander's the one that bullies her the worst, Xander Knight. It gets mentioned that they're neighbors and that they go way back. So assumably, like, the big bullying and whatever happened between the two of them. Also of note, 10 years ago, it's also 10 years since Elsa's parents died. Does it have something to do with that? Couldn't tell you, bestie. Couldn't tell you anything, actually. Literally nothing happens in this book other than just on-page essay. Okay. Elsa goes to leave after class or after whatever, and of course she runs right into Aiden's chest. And this happens, I'm not exaggerating, at least 8 times. That she'll turn around to try to leave and she'll run into a wall of chest. Which, like, girl, get some fucking spatial awareness. You know what I mean? Once or twice I get 8 times with different men. You just get it together, man. In chapter 9, I don't know if this is later, if this is another day. I don't really care. She leaves class and she all of a sudden sees Aiden comforting Kim. Aiden is like legitimately like cradling her as she's sobbing into his arms. It's in front of the entire school and she is like, what the f***? Like my best friend is like bonding with the enemy. Like what is even happening right now? And this is where I thought Kim and her would be like betrayed and they would just go their different ways. And this was about to get like some crazy girl hating rivalry, misogyny, whatever. Luckily, it doesn't necessarily get to that point, but it was still just like weird. So Aiden is comforting her. She's crying. She's like, oh my God, he's so sweet. And Elsa's like losing her absolute mind over this. Once they end their embrace, Elsa chases down Kim and she's like, hey, Kim, you are my best friend and I love you, but you have to tell me what's going on. She steps back and wipes her eyes with the heel of her palms. Have you ever wondered if you could be the villain in someone's story? I did something unforgivable and I'm paying for it. I just have to find a way to survive this year. Ew, what? We don't ever know what happens. Again, we don't ever find out what happens. The girls have a little bit more back and forth, and ultimately, Kim says, you know, Aiden wasn't always like this. Nope, I'm not hearing it. I don't care what he was like. That rule about not attempting to understand bullies, I take it to heart. Maybe you should care, Ellie. Don't you ever wonder why he picked on you, why he doesn't bother anyone but you? So what do you suggest? I dig around his life, I find his traumatic past and fix him because he's such a good person on the inside with his heart of gold? That only happens in your romance novels and Korean soap operas, Kim. Okay, anyway. Ultimately, she's like, Kim, I don't want to fight with you. He's getting between our relationship. And Kim is like, my relationship with King, with Aiden, isn't anything like that. Elsa goes home that night, though, and she is kind of considering what Kim said to her, where she's like, okay, so maybe, what if she's right? What if he's not this, like, big monster that I think he is? She creeps on his Instagram. It's a bunch of pictures. Then a break in the pattern catches my attention. Now and then, between rows of happy-go-lucky pictures, he'd post a black and white shot that doesn't have his face in it. One has his dark silhouette from behind. Another shows a ball with his name on it. A few others have a chessboard. He doesn't have captions on those pictures, and if he does, they're short and strange. Mood, urges, long live the queen. Play the player, not the game. Stop and stare. Ruin before you're ruined. He posted the last black and white picture last night. It's a shot of a glass chessboard. Right in the middle, the black king piece stands tall while the white queen falls at his feet. The caption is sick. What in the hell? Keep in mind, she called him sick yesterday. Pretty much was like, you sick f-. Okay, not related to this book in any way. You sick f- is like my favorite catchphrase. I'm like so hooked on it right now. I say it to my husband constantly. I think he is considering divorce. Literally over everything. I say it to that man so many times a day. It's so funny. Anyway, this guy actually is a sick fuck though. She like the next day, I don't give a shit. At some point she's on the track team, she's at practice. After practice she's in the locker room getting ready to go and whatever, she's taking a shower. She gets out. Aiden King is in the locker room. It's just the two of them. So in chapter 10, it's Aiden. He has cornered her in the locker room, and it's about as creepy and weird as you would expect it to be. He is making more threats about SAing her, and she says, you would have to knock me unconscious to do any of that to me. And he says, A, that's cheating, and B, that's necrophilia. In which case, I hate that I know this, but that's actually like, isn't it somnophilia? That's when somebody's sleeping. I guess that's not the same as them being passed out, but pretty much the same. We've learned such horrendous words on this channel, I guess is what I'm saying. That I'm actually really upset that I knew the term for what that would be. Anyway, she asks what she's done to make him hate her so much and to like make these types of threats to her. And he says, you exist. Which like, god damn, dude. And then the coach comes, so he has to leave. So nothing ends up happening there. Just like, what a psychopath. Do we ever find out why he hates her, by the way, in this book? Spoiler alert, we don't. Spoiler alert, Rina Kent doesn't know how to tell a story in like less than 1,000 pages. So it's like not revealed for a long time. I'm at the end of this. I'm going to give you my fan theory. No, I'm not a fan. I'm going to give you my theory on what happens so that I can sleep at night and have a conclusion for this stupid book. So we'll get there. In chapter 11, Elsa is doing yoga with her aunt and we get big eating disorder vibes. Cannot make that clear enough. Throughout the entirety of this book, it is just like eating disorder commentary, not eating salt, not eating ice cream, whatever. She like binge eats when her aunt's not around. It's very not a good time. So point being though, her aunt is kind of like not causing, but like kind of reinforcing these like disordered behaviors for whatever unknown reason that never gets explained in this book, at least. Yeah, there's no I say in my notes, I said, yeah, between eating salt-free, gluten-free, organic, etc., like vegan, whatever, there's no allergies, and there's no acknowledgement that it's something that she wants to do. It's just something like forced upon her and like ingrained in her being of that's how you're supposed to eat. Very not great. Anyway, doing their little yoga thing, she starts to ask her aunt questions about where she came from. So she used to live in a different area with her parents. After her parents passed away, she moved in with her aunt and uncle and like moved across the country. I'm not European. I couldn't tell you what was happening. I am but an ignorant American, okay? But she's asking her aunt about her childhood, and her aunt gets uber freaked out about this. And she's like, do you remember anything? Oh my God, like, is something coming to you? Do you remember? And it's very off-putting and weird. But we press on. Right? In the last couple of days, Aiden has started sending her text messages. Like ever since he stole her phone, he has been harassing her, right? Assumably when he took her phone, he like programmed their numbers and got her information and whatnot. And so he's sexually harassing her over text message now, which is great. Just like sexting her one-sidedly, which is like so super cool and hot, I guess, is what I'm supposed to get out of this. Very, very vulgar text messages about the things he wants to do and threatening her if she doesn't respond. He says, you'll regret it if you don't reply. And when she doesn't, he says, as you wish. Which, hey man, don't bring Princess Bride into this. Don't do that to me. If you somehow don't know what Princess Bride is or don't know the as you wish thing from that, you should go watch it. One of the best love stories in the world. Yeah, well, roll with it. You guys can argue with me if you think that's not true. She goes downstairs to eat breakfast with her aunt and uncle before school, but before she walks into the kitchen, she hears, maybe we should try Dr. Khan's recommendations, my aunt says. She'll be 18 soon. Ew. That was the moment in the book that I realized that it was revealed that she was only 17. Because I was like, okay, cool, 16, 2 years in the future, she's 18. She's not. Actually, she's not, and it really upset me, but that's fine. She's like, okay, what the does that mean? Dr. Khan's recommendations and like what happens when I'm 18? Like that's like such a weird thing to say. What does my age have to do with anything? Dread lodges at the pit of my stomach. I don't like where this conversation is going. Stop overthinking, Blair, my uncle scolds. I'll go see if she's up. She'll be late for school. Uh-oh. So she goes into the room. They play it off. Aunt asks why she has her hair up. And this has been like an ongoing thing. Elsa always has her hair up and never said why she keeps it up. She just doesn't like it down. It gets brought up multiple times throughout the book. Do we ever find out why? No. We sure don't. All she ever says is, I don't know, I just don't like it down. And I hope to God that the like eating disorder and this hair situation actually fucking matter in future books because they don't at all in this one. Anyway, Aiden shows up. Deviant King is knocking at her front door to drive her to school. I love that for us. In chapter 12, he waltzes in and is like, oh my God, babe, why didn't you tell your aunt and uncle about us? Like, why didn't you tell your parents about us? Like, this is so crazy. We're dating. Like, are you ashamed of me? Oh my goodness. And like plays the whole loving cutesy boyfriend thing with her aunt and uncle. Her aunt and uncle are freaking the out because Deviant King's father is like a big business dude. And they are contracted under him. So like the whole reason that her aunt and uncle even have a livelihood is because they work for Deviant King's father. So to see him waltz into their front door is a little crazy to them. They're like, holy shit, girl, why didn't you tell us that y'all were dating? She's like, oh my God, like absolutely horrified by what is going on right now. He is just schmoozing it up with the uncle. The aunt is also very, very put off by what's happening in a weird way. The uncle plays it off. He's like, whoa, you didn't tell us you were with Aiden. Like everybody knows who he is. But the aunt is a little pissy about it versus the uncle that kind of plays into it of like networking almost a little bit there. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Aiden plays it up. You know, he says, yeah, my dad talks about you guys. He's so impressed with your work. And, you know, Jackson, uncle dude, you should come to this soccer game. I don't know. It's fucking stupid. He schmoozes and puts on a whole show, invites the uncle to a professional soccer game. Aiden's cousin plays on the team, and Aiden's cousin, his name is Levi, he has a prequel book like to this whole series that gets written about him and this other girl. I don't know. He doesn't really play much of a role in this book. I think he has like one scene where he shows up at. I could not tell you, dude. Don't look at me like that. I don't know. Anyway, he's like, yeah, you should come to the game with me sometime, man. Like, I'll get you some tickets. I'll hook you up. And it's really, really weird. But she's like, she can't do anything about anything that's happening. Eventually, they leave the house. They get into his Lamborghini, I think, or something like that. I'm pretty sure it's a Lamborghini. She's like, wow, what was all that about? Like, what was all that playing pretend? And he says, pretending was never my thing. Oh, please. You just pulled off a Broadway level performance about how much you care about me when we both know that you don't. I do care about you, sweetheart. Maybe not in the conventional term, but I never stopped caring about you. It's becoming tiresome and fucking irritating. His dark eyes shoot a path into my soul. The time has come to do something about it. Ew. What the does that even mean? We're going for a bold red, right? I don't, if you guys are visual, you kind of see the look I'm going for, the little matchy here. The best red lipstick I've ever had is the Uncensored by Fenty. This is what Rihanna was wearing in her Super Bowl performance 2 years ago. Dude, it's like the most beautiful red, most legit, stays all day, phenomenal. It's expensive as shit, don't get me wrong, but holy, oh my God. If you want like a perfect red lip, this is so good. Yeah, and then Chili by MAC is like another, you can see how worn this lipstick tube is. The most perfect red lipsticks I've ever come across in my life. And I layer them because I'm a psychopath. But anyway, so in chapter 13, he takes her to breakfast. He's like, hey, actually school got canceled today because of like X, Y, and Z thing that occurred. So I'm not taking you to school. I'm actually going to take you to a diner. I'm going to take you to breakfast and deal with it. Okay, I guess. She doesn't really have a choice here. Life's kind of crazy. School and everything's kind of crazy. Like, I just wanted to get to know you better. So I just wanted to take you to breakfast. And he starts calling her sweetheart and like all this like really intense, nice stuff. And she's like, yo, are you like a literal psychopath? Like, what is even happening right now? And as she's thinking how insane he is for all of this, also there was a jump cut in my makeup. I hated my eyeshadow and I had to take it all off. I had a vision. It was not executed very well. I'm kind of upset about it. Shut up. I don't want to talk about it. So, and she's thinking, wow, this guy's like literally no shit insane. Sociopaths are made. My spine jerks at the idea. Was he abused? Not that it excuses what he did and continues to do to me, but that could put some pieces of the puzzle together. I take a sip from the water. Was your father hard on you? I wasn't abused by either of my parents, if that's what you're thinking about. Ultimately, he ends up asking her out. Asks her out, and she reacts disgustedly, and he says that he knows her mouth is a liar, and then bam, it's another on-page essay. All of chapter 14, literally all of chapter 14, is him assaulting her in the middle of the diner with some old guy a few tables away. And Aiden says, you know, I could have threatened your family's company. I know King Enterprises is their biggest contractor and they'd struggle and eventually go bankrupt with the amount of debt that they currently owe to the bank. I have information that'll keep Kimberly gravitating towards me and away from you. The only reason that I didn't destroy your life yet is because I've been saving it for the right moment. If I choose to, I'll threaten everything you love, and you'll have no choice but to fall at my feet. She is, and I cannot make this clear enough to you, actively saying no and arguing and trying to fight him off while everything is happening. But internally, she's thinking that maybe this is what she wants, you know? And this is where I have to say, I think this is where the author is trying to do this whole, no, it's dubious consent. Like, this is, she's totally into it. She doesn't know what she wants. And she's like actually into being like dominated and like told what to do. In which case, not the case when there's like power dynamics such as this. I'm not gonna get into like a whole like relationship 101 with you guys about how these situations should go, but there should be an equal power, right? The person who is in the more like quote unquote vulnerable position in these types of relationships is actually the one that should have the power and the control of the situation. There is a clear power imbalance here of money and power and control over like, she has to do what he wants or her family will not have a job anymore. That's not like a clear consenting hot fun thing now. Now it is she has to do this for survival and she's pressured into these events. And you want to sit there and play it off and be like, oh no, it's dubious and she's into it and she likes him. Okay, y'all are high. Y'all are high as hell, actually. Get away from me with any of that thought if you really think that that's what's happening. And then, like, also just in general, in addition to that, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, really anybody who is that young and anybody who's like inexperienced in the realm of like spicy, naughty things should not be partaking in a relationship involving power dynamics and questioning consent, right? That should come much later on in life, much later on in experience levels where you're like, hey, let's play around with some ideas here. She is a virgin, okay? I cannot make that clear enough to you. She is completely inexperienced. She is not knowledgeable enough to be making these types of decisions in a like informed way. It's really, really actually up and dirty and gross, and I don't know why people would read this and think highly of it, and I don't understand why an author would write it, and I also don't understand why. I just don't understand, I guess. It's just wild to me. This whole situation is wild to me. The things that people write and like and enjoy is just absolutely wild. That's all there is to say. It doesn't make sense to me, nor will it ever make sense to me. In chapter 15, since that day at the coffee shop, Aiden hasn't stopped texting me every night and morning. She's at school with Kim and they get approached by another soccer player guy, and he invites the girls to a party at his house. He's the known partier, crazy guy, like sleeps around, has fun, whatever. And Kim is so excited. They have never been invited to a party before. They're just the little nerdy girls, you know? So they get invited to this party. She's pumped up. And Elsa, understandably so, she's like, hey, we said that we would never talk to these guys. Like, these guys all suck and they bully us and they're terrible people. Like, why would we go to this? And Kim is like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And like, this is senior year, Elsa. Like, loosen up, have some fun. Oh my God. Along with this, throughout this entire week at school, Aiden has been talking to Kim more and more. He's been greeting her in the hallways, greeting her in English class, even more than that even actually. They're kind of like borderline flirting. And Elsa is witnessing this and she is like pissed at Aiden and at Kim, but mostly at Aiden because she's like, dude, he literally asked me out and he said that he liked me and all this other stuff, and then now he's like kind of hitting on my friend. Like, that's actually like kind of up. And Aiden ends up confronting her at some point during this week, saying that she needs to decide to be his girlfriend officially or he'll keep threatening everything that she loves, starting with Kim. And then he obviously chases Kim down and continues to flirt with her. And it is just like so dirty, icky, gross. I cannot express that to you enough. I hate everything that's happening here. But as he goes to run off to flirt with Kim, Elsa is approached by Xander. Xander is the other soccer player who bullies Kim specifically and has like a very weird, you know what I mean, like thing going for her where they grew up together, and that's the one where I was like, okay, she must have like fucked him over or something bad happened a couple years ago. So he approaches Elsa and he's like, hey, I have a deal for you. She avoids him because she's like, okay, he's best friends with Aiden. There's like some weird shenanigans happening. I don't want anything to do with it, and avoids him. A week later, Aiden has continued upping the conversations with Kim again, like to the point where Kim was found crying in the hallway. Aiden is comforting her, being held. Everyone sees it, and so everybody stops bullying her because they kind of assume that they're dating. And they're like, okay, well, like, we won't mess with, like, King's girl. Hate that. And Elsa has managed to avoid him and to avoid Xander throughout this entire week. But she's not been able to stop thinking about the things that King has done to her. And she's starting to dream about it and kind of liking the memories. And it's, like, really fucking gross, actually, and I hate it so much. But she's also starting having more nightmares. And they're actually more, like, repressed memories about her childhood and about what her parents did and how her parents died, which is, like, tragic. You know, and she's thinking, you know, since I moved to London with my aunt and uncle, I didn't have a single memory of my life with my parents in Birmingham. Okay, see, there you go, Birmingham. No photo albums, no mind images, no nothing. Everything burnt with the house. The only reason that I survived that day was because I wasn't inside. Okay, it's about the extent of any information that we're ever given in this book. It's okay. Eventually, Xander catches up to her, and his offer, like the thing that he wants to do, is for her to pretend to be his girlfriend. He's like, hey, it'll stop the bullying. Everybody will think that you're mine. It's a win-win. She's like, no, but really, like, what do you want from me? He says, that's it. Just pretend to be my girlfriend. I want to get back at somebody. This will help me do that. And then you'll get saved from bullying, and it's a win-win for both of us. Like, it'll be great. She says, okay. She realizes that he's trying to teach a lesson to Aiden. And so she agrees because she's also like, well, like, yeah, fuck Aiden. If Aiden's gonna use my best friend against me, I'll use his best friend against him. And it's so high school in like the most derogatory way that I could say that term. So they decide to walk into the cafeteria, arm in arm, her and Xander. They go in. Cafeteria immediately goes silent because everybody's staring at them. Everybody's like, oh my God, the drama. What is happening? Aiden spots them. He looks up. Dead silence. The smirk on Xander's face isn't helping. He's pissed off. How do you know that? I whisper back. He appears completely detached to me. The twitch in his left eye. Xander grins. He can control anything but that. Xander removes my arm from his, but just so he'd wrap it around my shoulder. He smells of sandalwood. She's thinking, ew, girl, time and place. That's the last thought I have before Aiden slams his fist in Xander's face. So the two of them have an all-out brawl in chapter 17 until the coach and other players finally pull them apart. And the day goes on, but the boys don't come back. And eventually, in the parking lot at the end of the day, Silver, right, the queen bee, Silver Queens, catches them in the parking lot, catches Elsa and Kim after school, talking mad shit to Elsa, calling her a peasant. She's like, you're a nobody, you'll always be a nobody, and now I have to take care of the king. I gotta take care of Aiden and like take the edge off. I gotta loosen him up. Hello? And then Silver's phone rings and it's Aiden calling her, and Elsa is pissed. But she's like, I don't really have a right to be like, we're not actually dating or anything. Eventually they get in the car. Kim and Elsa have a heart-to-heart, and Kim is like, hey, seriously, I'm not actually dating Aiden. I know it kind of looks that way. He's just trying to get me to stop being bullied, and like, we're just friends. Elsa says, yeah, it's the same thing with Xander. I'm not actually dating him. And Kim is very, very relieved by this fact. And eventually, she's like, I don't understand why he would have flipped out, though. And Kim says, yeah, he has issues with Xander touching you. I've never seen him lose control, not even when his mother died. You were there when his mother died. What the hell? Like, I knew she was dead, but like, you know, I want some more information about it, blah, 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 blah. Kim says he went to a summer camp, and when he returned, his mom was dead. I still remember the hollow look in his eyes at the funeral. It gives me chills. You know, he didn't cry that day. He stood beside his father in complete silence during the entire ceremony. Oh, okay, I guess. Okay. The chapter ends that night. She's at her house and she cannot stop thinking about the situation with Aiden and Silver and how pissed she is, and she's just this whole like loosening him up thing. She is just so tripping over that she's like, I need to go for a run. So she runs to the grocery store to go and like pick up whatever just to like get out of the house. And when she goes outside, she notices a black Mercedes across the street. It has been across the street all day. She doesn't know whose it is. It's kind of weird. It's kind of out of place, but I don't know. And there's just like some kind of weird feeling vibe that she's getting from the car, but she moves on. On her way back, the Mercedes is still there. So she goes around the back of the house to go in through, obviously, the back. And Aiden is there, of course. And then he assaults her again in the alleyway just behind her home. And chapter 18, that's the whole chapter. It's him assaulting her yet again. She's thinking, I shake my head, tears rimming my eyes and mixing with the pouring rain. God, he's a psycho, a sick son of a bitch. Then why am I not fighting? Fight, Elsa. You're a fighter. My limbs remain locked in place no matter how much I beg them to move. And this is a moment that I would just like to derail from ranting Kaylee for 2 seconds to say, hey, there are different ways to react to traumatizing events and when you are confronted with such horrific things, right? There's fight, freeze, flight, and fawn. Fight, obviously, is understandable. It's when you would fight back. Freeze is when you do nothing. Flight is when you make a run for it. And fawn is when you kind of, this is not a professional definition in any way, but where you kind of go along with it to make the collateral damage less than, right? You kind of just go along just to get the situation over with and just get over it and move on with life, okay? That is also a very valid response. It doesn't have to be only fight or flee, freeze, fight, or flight. Fawn is a very legitimate way of coping with horrific things that happen to you. I fucking hate this book. I hate the way that this is portrayed. I hate the self-blaming trauma reaction that's happening in this book. It's incredibly invalidating and really, really fucked up, actually. So I would just like to take a second to note of like, hey, no can be said in a lot of ways. It doesn't have to just be a verbal no. It doesn't have to be like fighting for your fucking life. Consent in general to any of these types of situations should be informed and enthusiastic. There was neither of those throughout the entirety of this book. There was no informed consent. There was no enthusiastic consent. And if you want to make the argument, oh, well, it's like dubious consent, like she's thinking how she wants it. That's also a coping mechanism, my guy. What you mean? It's a lot easier to say that to yourself than the fact that like, oh, I got SA'd in an alley. I'd rather believe that I wanted it so that I don't have to deal with the trauma and the shame that comes with acknowledging that I was actually SA'd, right? Shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear that argument. Like, I hate these books. I hate these books in the way that they handle these situations. Again. I know, I've said it so many times. She's 17 years old. She's never had any type of conversation or like preemptive, like, hey, this is kind of what I'm into. Like, I'm a willing participant in what's about to happen. And like, I think we should recreate this type of scene, or I think we should like engage in these types of behaviors, but I'm a willing participant. There is no conversation had. You cannot have dubious consent or like non-consensual consent situations without those conversations happening. I don't give a shit that it's in your fucking head. It needs to be a verbal thing between two parties, and if you can't have the verbal conversation, then you're too young or too inexperienced to be going through those types of experiences to begin with. It makes me so mad. Just to put that shit out in the universe is like so frustrating to me. Anyway, she gets assaulted in a fucking alley. She convinces herself that she wanted it. But she does confront him slightly. And she says, it's because of you that I'm labeled a slut. It's because of you that nobody approaches me, that no one will. He's at my face, so close that we breathe each other's air. Do you know why, sweetheart? Why? I murmur. Because you were always mine. You just didn't know it yet. Anyway, the guys are suspended, and at the end of chapter 18, her and Kim are getting ready to go to the party that they mentioned forever ago. Yay, I guess. I don't know. I hate it here. In chapter 19, they're at the party, and at the very beginning of it, she has a flashback, which is really, really intense. I catch a dark figure in my peripheral vision, and the blood in my veins turns to ice. Blood. So much blood. Steel blood runs in your veins. You will not disgrace it. The haunting voice booms in my head like a demon's. The tips of my fingers tingle and turn icy. An urge to scrub them clean takes over me like a drug addict burning for a fix. A weird sensation crawls down my spine as I feel eyes on me, blank, lifeless eyes. They're watching. They're coming to get me. They'll eat me. Run, Elsa. Now. Elsa? My gaze snaps to Kim, who's waving a hand in front of my face. Huh? You just zoned out. Is everything okay? And you're like, what the fuck? What was that about, right? Not explained. Not in this book. I hate it here. Anyway, Kim runs off to go and drink, and Elsa runs into Aiden's cousin, Levi, like the famous soccer player guy that I like briefly mentioned before. It's a little chit chat, nothing too wild, but he reveals that Aiden plays chess, and she's like, oh my god, I play chess. That's so hot. What a coincidence. And also, Levi says, hey, Aiden is like a stage 5 clinger, and you need to stay away from him for your own sake. He's kind of crazy. Oh, okay. Eventually, she runs into a girl named Astrid. There's no importance. Astrid and Levi are the love interests in the prequel to the series. That's why she gets introduced. Maybe she has a bigger role later. This is literally the only time that she's mentioned in this book, though. So I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. Anyway, speaking of Aiden, but Astrid notes how, like, she's heard so much about Elsa. She's like, yeah, he talks about you all the time. He's like, it's so nice to finally meet Aiden's obsession. What the fuck? What do you mean? Speaking of Aiden, though, she runs into him in the kitchen, and they just start making out. He, like, picks her up and throws her on the counter, and they're just, like, making out in front of the whole world. And the whole party goes silent, just staring at them. And eventually, he just, like, picks her up and carries her upstairs to a guest bedroom, saying, it's time that you become completely mine. Ew. So chapter 20... he takes her up to the room to, like, do stuff with her. He's like, there's quote unquote, hey, anything I'm about to say, I don't mean, in my own opinion. I'm telling you how the author meant to portray it, okay? Tries to have a flirty conversation between the two. A little bit of banter back and forth. And he's like, oh yeah, well, she's like, I didn't come here to see you. He says, oh, well, like, who did you come here to see? She says, my boyfriend Xander, obviously. Trying to provoke him. A horrible idea. Zero survival instincts, but that's okay, I guess. Because at this moment, when he's all threatening and scary, I don't see the danger. I should see the danger, but instead I'm searching behind that danger. thirsting to dig my claws in him and rip open the poker face to peek behind it. I'm almost sure that I'll find a monster, but I still want to see it anyway. I still want to know what he's made of, why he's made this way. Chapter 21, again, I'm not detailing any of this conversation, because, again, we are talking about someone who is underage, and this is not written in a way that is, like, appropriate at all for someone under 18 to be talked about. Like, it's absolutely, again, wild to me that somebody would write such an experience, let alone people actually publish it and read it and enjoy it. When, if you are an adult reading a book about a 17-year-old, doing such like sexually explicit things in a way that is meant to be provocative, don't ever go to cell block 1. They know like us. Bro, the Super Bowl, we're gonna derail. It's related. It's only sort of derailing. I cannot believe that Kendrick looked America in the eye and said, "Say Drake," with the most maniacal smile I've ever seen in my entire life. You guys have no idea. I was so happy. I love Kendrick Lamar so much. That was the best Super Bowl show ever. Anyway, bunch of perverts, I swear to God, I don't understand. And if you read this, I don't care if I'm offending you, bro. You read straight up like explicit material about a 17-year-old, you're a fucking pervert. I don't care. I'll say that with my whole chest. You need to go to fucking therapy, my guy. Maybe you didn't realize. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe you didn't realize that she was 17 years old and how problematic that is. But like, I'll tell you straight to, I'll look you in the eye. I'll say it with my whole ass chest. That's not appropriate. None of what has happened and is published is appropriate at all. This is literally just an underage person doing like very explicit things and the author writing it to be provocative. I don't get it. Why would you not age her up a couple of months?
Well, the whole point, Kaylee, is because when she turns 18, the other shoe drops and there's like some crazy shit that happens.
Not in this book. And why couldn't you make it when she turned 19 or 20 or something? Why did it have to be when she turned 18? Why wouldn't we open the book after she learns the crazy shit? Why would we not save the like spicy stuff for after she turns 18? It's gross. Back to the book. I'm not detailing it, like I said. There's some other conversation in the middle of it that I have highlighted about how he's like, you have to tell me to stop right now because if I start, I won't stop. Like, I'll never stop. And again, I don't need to say it to you guys because I assume that the people that watch my videos and my channel to this point, that you understand, but in case you need to hear it, consent can be withdrawn at any point. At any point, somebody can say stop, or I'm done, or tap out, or whatever, and it's like, oh, okay, that's the end of that. So this idea of like, oh, well, you said yes at the beginning, so that means I'm not gonna stop, that actually plays a role in this book, and he doesn't listen to her when she says that, and it is, again, just explicit on-page essay that was incredibly difficult to read, and I don't know why somebody would write that. Amongst all of the other problems that I've brought up in the last, like, 3 minutes, why in the would you also add that on top of the pile? Anyway, he asks if she's like a virgin at some point. She says no. He's like, oh my God, how is that even possible? In such a way that makes me think that there's more to that commentary, which I'll get into at my theories at the end of the book of what their actual relationship is and some other stuff. But the way he says it is not a normal response. He's very shocked to learn that she's a virgin. Eventually, I don't know, afterwards, after they don't actually like have full on sex, it's just like oral stuff. And afterwards they're kind of laying together and he says, why were you adopted? I should have expected the question, but that doesn't make it any easier to answer. I'm originally from Birmingham. I've been told that there was a fire. I lost both of my parents in it. An aunt had custody of me and eventually adopted me. There's none of the pity that I usually get on Aiden's face. If anything, he seems calculative. You've been told? As in you don't remember? It's amazing how nothing escapes him. What's stranger is that I want to bear it all to him. No, I don't, I say. I only have fragments and little pieces. That time feels like a giant black puzzle. Every piece is so similar I can't even start to gather it together. The sad thing is that I don't remember my parents' faces, and I'm absolutely fine with not remembering them. I'm such a horrible daughter. Or it could be that your brain made a wise choice. His voice drifts. Sometimes parents aren't what they're supposed to be. Why did you decide that you hated me the first time that you saw me? I'm not going to sugarcoat it for Aiden. He was, still is, my bully. He ruined my life at RES. My body and mind might be unapologetically drawn to him, but that will never change what he did to me. He stares me down, but he's not really seeing me. His gray eyes turn into a raging storm. You were a ghost. What the 22, Spice is still going. Goddamn, bro. But they get interrupted by one of the other soccer players saying that it's an emergency and they need stuff. They need him. You're lucky we're done for today. Is your cousin taking you? My cousin? Levi King. I saw him earlier. You saw him earlier? Yeah, he said he's here to get you. Levi says lots of shit. Do you honestly think he can tell me what to do? It's not Levi, then what is it? Kimberly's passed out. Oh my god. So Kim got super, super drunk. She passed out. Aiden ends up driving the girls and Xander back over to Kimberly's house. Xander carries Kimberly into the house. He knows the layout. He knows where her room is. He has a key. Like, he knows all of this stuff. Kind of weird. Again, feeding into, I think it's book number 4 in the series. I think the first trilogy is literally dedicated to telling the story of Aiden and Elsa. And then book 4 is Xander and Kimberly. So, like, I don't care. Hey, I cannot make it clear enough to you. I don't give a fuck. He carries her in there. There's a bunch of banter back and forth between the two. There's a little bit of flirting. It's a little bit weird. Aiden, again, tells her, like, hey, a queen or a pawn. You don't want me to make the move for you. AKA, hey, Elsa, you need to pick if you're going to be in a relationship with me or if I'm going to make you feel like shit. Okay, I guess. In chapter 23, Kim is super hungover and very, very embarrassed and mortified about Xander carrying her inside of her house. They're at school on Monday or the next day. I don't know. Whenever it is, Silver confronts Elsa yet again, tells her to stay away from Aiden. And it's so catty and so stupid, and I don't get it. She says, and I quote, "A king needs a queen, peasant." And again, I just want to remind you of the stupid ass last names in this book. Queens, king, knight, etc. Anyway, everybody's whispering and being really, really weird. And Elsa realizes that when she and Aiden were making out in the kitchen at the party last night or whenever the fuck it was, somebody took a picture of it and Aiden uploaded it to his Instagram page with the caption, "Mine." Oh god. Just so everybody would know that she was in fact Aiden's and not Xander's. Okay? I love when women are property. I love when young, impressionable women are treated like property by stupid boys. I love that so much for us. Chapter 23, she's telling Aiden, "I'm not yours." It's this whole like back and forth and whatever. And he asks her about never having her hair down again. She says she doesn't know. I don't know. She ends up eating lunch with the guys. She eats at the table with all the soccer football player dudes. And her aunt and uncle text her that they're going to be gone all weekend and it'll just be her alone. And there's a bunch of banter between her and the guys. Like it's like a relationship building cutesy thing. Chapter 25, aunt and uncle are running around all week and they're barely home. Kim has been periodically staying the night at Elsa's and the girls are talking about things. And Elsa admits, she's like, yeah, I think I like kind of sort of like Aiden. Like I think he's kind of growing on me, but I don't want to be distracted by him. I have Cambridge. I have stuff to do. And like, I can't be distracted by a relationship. I feel a sick type of relief whenever he comes to find me, corners me, and takes away the decision. Isn't that crazy? Kim goes on to tell her to stop being a stick in the mud and to stop doing everything that the aunt and uncle do. Between college, yoga, chess, the whole eating disorder shit that I mentioned before, Kim is like, hey, you're not acting like a teenager. You're not even acting like your own person. You're literally just like embodying your aunt and uncle. Like, how about you become your own person? Do your own shit. Yeah, you should like pursue Aiden if that's what you're feeling. Oh my god. Okay. I mean, like, you're not wrong necessarily, but also like kind of a bitchy reaction, right? She's walking Kim out. Elsa is walking Kim out of the house and she sees the black Mercedes across the street again. It's been there all day and freaks her out a little bit and she can't sleep that night and she's texting Aiden and they have like an actual conversation. This is the first actual legitimate conversation that they have had in this entire book. Chapter 25, like 45% of the way through. The first time that they've exchanged actual genuine words that would indicate relationship building to the reader. She can't sleep. Aiden's texting her. It turns spicy, of course, and she's ashamed that it gets to a spicy point, but she goes to sleep and she has another flashback nightmare thing that is horrific that I will read out loud to you partially because it might be relevant later. Whimpers come from the basement. My little feet follow the sound. I'm whimpering to myself, but them whimpers from the basement are louder and more in pain. I dart my eyes back, expecting the boogeyman to follow me down here. Ma says I should never be here because them monsters hide in places like these. Ma looks like a monster sometimes when she's talking about him, the one who shall not be named. Her eyes look black like them Da's friends. Sometimes she hugs and squeezes me till I think I'm joining the one who shall not be named. Elsa? Oh no. If Ma finds me, she'll squeeze me to death again. I don't like them monsters in her eyes because Da won't stop hitting her when she has them monsters. Then his monsters and her monsters become the same. Them whimpers turn into moans. I stop at the basement door and peek through the opening of the key. Them monsters took another person like the one who shall not be named. This time I have to help them. I have to stop them monsters in Ma and Da's eyes. Elsa! A blow smacks my back, my head hits the door, and something warm and red trickles down my temple. I look back and see them monsters. They're black. They're murky. They have whole eyes. My lips tremble and I'm struck again. Blow, blow, blow. You'll pay for that, Elsa. I wake up with a start. Sweat trickles down my spine, sticking my PJs to my back. I dart my eyes to the side and shriek. A shadow looms over my bed. Jesus Christ. Chapter 26 continues the horrible flashback, which I'm going to read to you for the fact of like the sheer what the okay? The monster from my childhood stands over my bed like a shadow, a boogeyman. He's finally coming for me. My blood roars in my ears and my heartbeat catches on an irregular slick rhythm. Thump, 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 thump. I screw my lids shut and cover my ears with both hands. This is a dream. It's all in my head. The boogeyman isn't real. The monster isn't real. No matter how much I chant that, it doesn't stop the voices from filtering through my high-built fortress. Murmurs, haunted moans, pained whispers. Heavy footsteps come closer and closer, suffocating me like a vice. Hush, little baby, don't you cry. No, I place both hands on my ear trying to suffocate the haunting sound. I hate that song. I hate the way that she sings it with the manic humming and the monsters in her eyes. Everything is gonna be all right. No, Mama's gonna buy you a little toy. If that toy don't work, Mama will bring you another one. No. You'll never escape me, Elsa. You're my masterpiece, Elsa. Elsa. They won't have me, not again, never again. I hit his chest with both fists. His arms surround me, making me nauseous. I swore I had never let him put his hands on me anymore. Not again, not this time. Ma, I screech. She can help me. She has to help me. That's what mothers do, right? They save their children from them monsters. Ma, help. My voice and my breathing cut off. I'm thrown into water. Dark, murky, bottomless water. I gasp, but only water fills my throat, my lungs, all of me. Thrashing, I try to surface to find the refuge from them monsters. A hand holds my head underwater. It's suffocating. It fills my nostrils, my mouth, my frantic eyes. I can't breathe. Please, Ma. Please, Da. Please help me. The cold shocks my skin, my limbs, I turn numb, I'm floating, drifting. It's useless to fight it. Maybe the one who shall not be named fought it too. Maybe that's why his name isn't spoken anymore. Maybe I'll be like him. Through the foggy haze, someone calls my name with an edge to their voice. He's calling my name. I won't be like the one who shall not be named. He knows my name. Can you see me behind the monsters? I ask in my head. I do. I don't think he does, but I hold on to that glimmer of a voice. It's soothing, so soothing. Maybe the monsters are invisible to him. He sees me like no one did before. He sees me. Yo, what the fuck is that? Okay. What is happening? And yet again, we don't find out. That's the last nightmare that she has for this entire book. Never gets addressed again. Kind of, sort of, possibly, maybe, sort of, in a couple of chapters, but it's never explained. If you wanted answers, I don't have them, girl. I don't have them, bestie. I don't got them. That's in the other books, and y'all can waste your time reading them because this is ridiculous. I'm just gonna end up repeating myself. It was so stupid. So anyway, she wakes up, she's sobbing, and Aiden was the shadow at the foot of her bed, and he holds her while she sobs like absolutely uncontrollably, talking about how it can't be real. The last time that I had an episode like this, strangely, 2 years ago, right after my first day at RES, Aunt and Uncle freaked, and I mean they literally freaked. I thought Aunt was with the monster and I hit her. I screamed and I cursed at her. I didn't stop until Uncle locked her out of the room. And so Aiden is talking to her a little bit, like, as this is happening, and he's like, hey, like, did I trigger your nightmare? She says, no, it wasn't you. I was having it before you got here. And he's like, okay, are they always triggered by something? Yes, Dr. Khan always tells me to stay away from anything that can serve as a trigger, such as candles, basements, dim, red light, deep water such as pools, beaches, and lakes, sleeping in the dark. I don't even know how Dr. Khan got the list. Maybe it's from scraps of nightmares I've told him. My lips part and I stumble to my feet. The black car! Aiden follows me, staring at me as if I'm about to have the episode again. The black car! Is it still there? The black car parked across the street? No. How do you know that? I parked across the street. There was no black car there. He holds her and she goes to sleep. I feel safe. I curl my fingers into his shirt and place my ear over his soothing heartbeat, a normal heartbeat. Chapter 27, she wakes up, Aiden's there. She didn't have nightmares and there's more spice. What do you want from me? The only thing to note is that, like, the aunt reacts incredibly weird to, like, hearing about her having nightmares. Like, anytime that the aunt hears about her having nightmares or hears anything like that, the first question is, oh, do you remember something? What do you remember? Hey, what do you remember? What do you remember? What do you remember? And it's, like, really weird. Why would Aunt Blair ask questions? Why did Uncle Jackson kick her out? It's like they know more than they're letting on. The nightmares aren't normal, and they always follow the same pattern: in a basement, in water, in the dark. They've been the same since I was 7, since my parents' death. Chapter 28 is like literally just them banging. He's talking about how patient that he's been. What have you been patient for? He lifts an eyebrow, apparently taken aback by my course of action. I like thwarting his plans. He's better to handle when he's taken off guard. For you to want me. Why is that important? It just is. Obviously, it's not important that she wants you, bro. You've, like, literally just assaulted her throughout the entire book. And then they have a conversation about, like, her asking about, okay, I'm not even gonna, okay, all right. Yeah, okay. She's like, yeah, what if, like, I want to be Ard? Like, people actually like to be Ard. People fantasize about that. He's like, I mean, technically, like, no, they like being forced to have intercourse. They usually plan it with their partners, so technically it's not R. She says, that's the excuse that you tell yourself? I don't tell myself excuses. I'm completely assertive of who and what I am. I know I'm different. I just don't care. The excuse is for you since you seem to desperately need it. Hello? What the fuck? She's like, hey, why don't you let me go? I can't. Why not? She's like, why not? He says, I don't have a choice. And then again, chapter 29, they actually like have sex in this chapter, and he's surprised about her being a virgin. I've said it before. I guess I might have mistimed my him learning that, but he's very, very surprised. And he's like in the middle of like freaking out about that and complimenting her, and then also saying that she's like fucking everything up. Fucking what up? Who knows? Who knows? I don't know what's happening. I fucking hate it here, bro. Chapter 30 and 31, for some reason, I don't have any notes for. I think this is like post them doing it, like pillow talking, and he's talking about her Instagram, and he's like, why don't you ever post pictures of your face? You have pictures of food and settings, your aunt, your uncle, Kim, and her brother, but there's never a full shot of you. The only pictures of you are taken from behind or from the side. There isn't a picture where you look at the camera. It's almost as if you're scared of it. Not all of us love attention. Why do I feel like that's not your case? Okay, so that feeds into my theory from later. I'm pretty sure, actually, we'll just talk about it now. I'm pretty sure this whole thing is like, I think she was being like trafficked by her parents, right? Like, that's kind of what this is all leading up into. It was like, everybody was in on it. I think potentially Aiden was also. And maybe her parents died and it was like actually kind of a good thing that they died. Like that might have been like an on purpose thing. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, he is getting dressed and he turns around and she sees his back and he has scars, like slash marks. Like dude got tortured, right? She's like, oh my God. Aiden, did your father? Jonathan King is not a violent man. He sounded sarcastic. He'll sue you for defamation if he hears you say such nonsense. Then who is it? None of your business. Well, I'm making it my business. You're not ready. Hello? Try me. If I tell you, you'll have to tell me everything in return, and I mean every fucking thing, Elsa, including your nightmares. If you're ready to bare your soul to me, then by all means, start first, sweetheart. Ew. So she plays it off. And then, I don't know. There's like a bunch of back and forth and I don't like what's happening. Chapter 31, on Monday, Uncle and Aunt and I are having breakfast together when I say I want to see Dr. Khan. I can't help noticing the difference between Aunt and Uncle's reactions. Her eyes are shifty and she keeps opening and closing the container as if she's not aware of what she's doing. Whenever the topic of my nightmares resurfaces, Aunt never asked me if I was okay. Her first question was always, what did you see? Uncle, on the other hand, always asked if I was fine. It was weird. She's thinking about Aiden, and since he walked out of the house on Saturday morning, there has been no trace of him. He didn't call or send his usual crude texts. I've seen pictures of him on Instagram after the game on Saturday night. Elites won 2-0 and Xander scored both. It's so rare for Aiden to not score at a game. This is because, like, when he left on Saturday, he asked for her to be his, right? And the whole, like, be in a relationship with me, actually date me. And she said no. And so then he's, like, avoiding her now and punishing her for not dating him formally. I fucking hate it here. The aunt and uncle are having an argument when she steps out of the room. She's my niece, okay? Mine. You wouldn't be in her life if it weren't for me, so stop interfering, Jackson. 18 is right around the corner. I can't wait to see what happens when the other shoe drops. What shoe? I don't know. I would love to tell you, but I can't. She sees Kim. And by the way, Kim's voice cuts through my thoughts. I heard Mom and Dad talking about something super weird yesterday. Yeah? Kim's attention remains on the road as she speaks. Remember when I told you that Aiden's mother died of an accident? He's the last thing that I want to talk about right now, but I can't help the curiosity. What about her? So, Dad was saying that Alicia, his mom, was suicidal. Anyway, so her death wasn't a surprise. However, Mom said that Dad doesn't understand. Alicia wasn't suicidal. She only wanted to save her baby. She wanted to save her baby? I know, weird, right? Aiden is an only child and he was at a camp. What baby was she trying to save? Kim's voice drops to a whisper yell because she doesn't know how to whisper properly. Unless she had a child outside of marriage. Maybe she was off to meet her lover and Uncle Jonathan sent a PI after her. There was a chase and she crashed. Whoa, you've been watching too many Korean soap operas, Kim. Most families' problems are because of secret births. Just saying. Okay, I have like two things to say. Uncle Jonathan? So Kim is related to Aiden. Jonathan King, right, would be her uncle. So they're cousins? Why has that not been said explicitly? Why does Elsa not know that they're cousins? Why would she question that they had like a romantic relationship if they're cousins? I don't get it. She also said like Aunt Alicia. Okay, that's fine. That's like one thing. The other part of that is like, I swear to fucking God, if Aiden and Elsa end up actually being like siblings in some like fucked up universe that they're actually siblings, I will eat a shoe. Anyway, they were in English class having this conversation of all places. Why would you do that? I don't know. Fucking idiots across the board. They're in English class having this conversation though, and Aiden walks in. And Aiden walks in with Silver on his arm. Silver Queens, the bitch, she comes in all flaunting. Oh my God, I finally got the man. Ew, I finally got the boy. Chapter 32, Elsa loses her mind about this, obviously. Aiden is just being a dick, like trying to show off Silver to rub it in Elsa's face. He's like, since you don't want to be my girlfriend, like I'll just find another queen. If you don't want to be a queen, then you're just a pawn. So Elsa loses her mind. She goes to the bathroom to cry, promising herself that this is the last time that I'll ever cry for Aiden King. Chapter 33, she continues her school day trying to act like Aiden and Silver don't exist, and she is subconsciously, understandably, very hurt about what happened. Like, he literally took her V card. As said in the book, that's not me. I don't like the terminology. He took her virginity, or she gave her virginity to him, whatever. And she's like, wow, we like do it, and then he literally ignores me all weekend, and then now he's flaunting with another girl. Like, that's actually so genuinely shitty. At the end of the day, she is going out to the field for track practice. The soccer, football guy, whatever people, they have their practice in the middle of the track. So she goes off to the side because she doesn't want to see Aiden. And she ends up seeing a guy named Cole. Cole is the team, he's not the coach. He's not the head. He's the lead guy. What is it called? Captain. She sees Cole, who is the team captain. He's off on a hill under a tree reading a book. So she's like, okay, I'll go talk to Cole. He's pretty nice. He's a little quiet. Let's go chit chat. She goes over there, talks to him. He's reading a philosophy book, a French philosopher. They have some deep conversations about existentialism and like, did the philosopher have it right? And I felt like I was on Tumblr in like 2013 again. I was like, what do you mean? He reveals that the book is actually Aiden's. And anyway, is anybody surprised? Aiden appears out of the corner. Cole walks away. Aiden like pins her to a tree, and then they like hash it out. Whatever. I hate it here. In chapter 34, hold on, let me find the highlight. My note is so funny. He has her pinned against a tree. He's confronting her. Do you honestly believe it's even possible for me to move on from you, sweetheart? Everyone at school saw you move on with Silver just fine. I don't care about everyone at school. The show was only meant for you. For me? Did I miss some memo that you could be parading with another girl after we had sex for the first time? Not to mention that you abandoned me after said sex? There. That's the reaction I've been hoping for. What? You wanted this? I wanted this? Your manipulation game is strong, but it's not strong enough to make me believe that I wanted you on another girl's arms. You wanted to have a choice, a real one. So I gave you a chance to choose me. Your reply is 3 days late, but I'll take it. AKA, like, admitting that she has a choice in wanting to date him and that she's choosing to date him because of her jealousy of Silver, right? Sure, that's a choice, I guess. He's like, I like your possessiveness, sweetheart. And then they go on this whole thing where it's like, she's like, I want to trust you, I really do, but until then, I can't be in a relationship with you. I'll prove that you can trust me. You can trust me too. I'll never cheat on you. I know you won't. What will you do if I somehow cheat? Kill the bastard. How about me? That's the difference between you and me, sweetheart. You'd leave me in a heartbeat if I cheat, but I'll never leave you, even if you cheat. Again, these are like 17 and 18-year-olds on a high school track field. Just abundantly clear to everybody involved, listening what's happening. Why are we talking about cheating in such a way? The only reason that I can possibly imagine is that this is like an allusion to their parents' relationships, and that this actually is like a parallel to said relationships that is revealed in later books. So maybe they're half siblings, is my guess. Like maybe his mom cheated with her dad and had her, and that's why she was getting tortured and he was getting I don't know. Honest to God, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I don't know why a 17-year-old would have that conversation. The sense of time and space escapes me in a heartbeat. In a moment, I picture us in a room. There's no one but the two of us in that room. It's quiet except for our harsh breathing. Footsteps pound beyond the room's doors. I continue kissing Aiden, not wanting to break the spell. Something nags at the back of my mind. My limbs start to tremble and my shoulder blades stiffen with black, deep fear. He's coming, I whisper against Aiden's mouth. The school's backyard comes back into focus and Xander's blonde hair peeks from behind the corner. Coach is after your arse, King. Aiden's dark attention stays on me. It's like he knows that I didn't mean Xander or anyone here when I said he's coming. Bro, what in the Chapter 35, he goes running off into practice, and then she is kind of staring around and she spots Silver. After searching my surroundings, I spot Adam. And in my note, I said, I am literally crying. I want to cry. Who the fuck is Adam? It's not explained in this book. His name is brought up 4 times and none of them explain it. He just like randomly shows up on page 130 saying that he's the biggest bully of bullies and that's it. I'm over here in literal tears. I'm like, who are these people? What is it? I never find out. I need standalones. I can't keep doing this. I spot Adam. He leans against the railing leading to the football team's locker room, staring at me. Silver stands beside him. While Adam's gaze is unreadable, hers is full of contempt. So Silver hates her for making out with Aiden and for Aiden, like, dating her and being into her and stuff. And I don't know, I guess Adam is, like, supporting Silver in some way. I don't fucking know. She's on the track field, though, and she ends up talking to this random girl who is not worth introducing to the story because this is the only time that she's ever brought up. But she fills Elsa in on all of the gossip, like all of the rumors and the gossip that have been happening. And the rumor is that Silver has a secret boyfriend, but is using King as a cover-up, and that maybe she's dating a thug. That's the terminology used, okay? Okay, so she's not dating King. I guess she was pretend dating him. Maybe that's why she was so protective of him and telling Elsa to fuck off earlier I don't know, okay? So that's one. And then there was a rumor about Elsa and King that they were old acquaintances and that Elsa hurt him and that's why he hated you. And she's like, I never knew King beforehand. So the girl's like, oh, okay, I guess that's not true. And then, like, after practice, Silver's about to cause trouble and Aiden tells Cole to go and deal with her. And it's revealed that Cole and Silver are like step siblings. And then it's like Aiden and Elsa go and run off. And I feel like I'm just speaking gibberish. I feel like I'm in a fever dream. I say that so often in these videos. So she gets in Aiden's car and he says, hey, I'll take you somewhere. Like, I'll take you somewhere that you love. She's like, okay. Aiden takes her on a date to the professional soccer team's game. Again, like the one his cousin is on. And so they go to the game. Afterwards, they go to the diner, like before where they had breakfast. This time they're having dinner. Same thing. There's some random old guy one table away from them. They end up doing it in the bathroom. I don't know what you want from me, okay? In chapter 37, weeks have passed. They're hanging out. You know, it's pretty good vibes, actually. Things are they're kind of going well. They're kind of just chilling. And she sees Aiden's phone. A notification pops up, and it's a text message from her uncle, Jackson. And she says, yo, what the is that about? Like, are you conspiring with my family? Are you trying to, like, isolate me from my family? Which is, by the way, a very weird reaction to have and a weird thought to assume. Like, maybe you shouldn't be with a guy that's your first assumption, that everyone's conspiring against you and he's doing evil things. Maybe you shouldn't be with him, man. It's fine. So she walks off. She's like kind of pissed at him for texting her uncle. Walks off, walks into another wall of chest. This time it's Adam's. And Adam tells her to watch where she's going. Kind of weird. She has a psych appointment. She's actually going to meet with Dr. Khan later that afternoon. And Aiden is going to pick her up afterwards. And then they'll go to his house to watch the professional soccer game at his house. Soccer, football game, whatever, at his house that night. All the guys will be there. Kim will be there. And it'll be a little party, right? In chapter 38, she's at her appointment. She's at her psych appointment, and she kind of flips the script with Dr. Khan. He says, has anything been triggering lately to you? Like, what's going on? Why are you back here? Yes, I've been having nightmares about you hypnotizing me, Dr. Khan. Uh-oh. It turns into this entire thing where Dr. Khan has this, like, very controversial, hypnotizing memory remembrance thing. And he had just done it with a recent client. And that client, upon getting their memories back, ended up unaliving themselves. So she's like, hey, I know you did that to me, though, but you made me erase my memories. He says, I didn't do anything. I made you remember, and your body chose to erase your memories because it was that traumatic for you. And she's like, why did you do that to me? He's like, your aunt and uncle told me to. Hello? What do you mean? Your aunt and uncle only called me to reduce the anxiety because they heard that hypnosis helps. They were desperate, especially your aunt. She looked ready to do anything to chase your pain away. So what? Did you erase everything behind their backs? No, Elsa. I didn't erase your memories. You did. That's the extent of what we're given with that, in case you were curious. Chapter 39, we have like 5 chapters left. She gets out of her appointment. She sees Aiden across the street at his Lamborghini talking to Silver, fighting with her, rather. She's very animated. She goes over there and, you promised, King, she hisses. I said I'll think about it, he says. You don't get to escape this. She grinds her teeth. Escape what? I stand right at her back. And Silver, she's like, I don't answer to you, bitch. Watch it, Queens, Aiden warns. Oh, so now that you're dipping your dick in her, I should watch it? Is that it? She places a hand on her hip as she faces me. How does it feel to have leftovers frozen? I'm just like, I fucking hate it here. I know I've said that. I'm sure you're tired of hearing it, but like, god damn, dude. What is happening? What is this? What is this? Hello? Silver runs off. They get into the car. Aiden's super pissed. Does not like say a word to her on the entire drive home. She wants to apologize to him for overreacting, and she realizes like, oh, I'm just being like I'm just being like a possessive, jealous person. Like I need to apologize to him for acting like this. What? They get to his house. They pull up. He slams the door, runs out of the car. She's just like left outside of his mansion, not knowing where to go. This is the first time that she's ever been to his house, and he just leaves her. So she's just feeling kind of awkward and alone. Luckily, one of the other football players comes up and like guides her inside. And so at the house, she hangs out with the guys. They go into the kitchen. She meets one of the like housekeeper cook ladies. Her name is Margot. She pretty much raised Aiden after Aiden's mother died. All of the boys love her and want to hire her and have her work for them, but she's obviously attached to Aiden and attached to the King household. Whatever, she's cooking a bunch of snacks. Elsa wants to help out with them and ends up staying in the kitchen with her to cook while all of the guys go and watch football. It's supposed to be some deeper, meaningful thing where it's like these rich pieces of shit, they don't care about the help, but look how nice our main female protagonist is. Like, she's down to earth. And I don't say it lightly, that's just like how it's portrayed. I feel like that's what I was supposed to get out of the situation, was like, oh my god, Elsa's such a relatable person. Elsa and Margot are taking their like trays of food into the room. Margot forgot something, so she goes back to the kitchen to go and pick it up. Elsa's just standing in the hallway awkwardly with these like little platters, just vibing. And then, wouldn't you know it, Jonathan King appears. Aiden's father, the Jonathan King appears. And in chapter 41, it is just like bad vibes. Bad vibes all the way around. He's very, very short with her. He's eyeing her up and down. They go for a handshake, and his handshake is like way too firm. She gives him a firm handshake back, and they just like, it's like really awkward. Like they're just like shaking hands for like way too long until Aiden appears, breaks it up. They go into the other room or whatever. Jonathan goes off and does whatever. Say something, I push when he remains silent yet again. Stay away from my father. He enunciates every word in a near growl. I didn't approach him. I don't give a fuck about what you did or didn't do. You don't speak to Jonathan. You don't shake hands with him, and you certainly don't fucking talk to him. When you see him, you turn and walk in the opposite direction. Is that clear? Why? Because I fucking said so. I'm sorry, Your Majesty, but I don't do things because you fucking said so. Elsa, tell me why. This is one of the times where you just say yes and you don't argue with me. Or what? Or I'll get Kim drunk and let Xander take her home. Oh my god. In chapter 42, the game begins, and Aiden is just the biggest piece of shit ever. Nobody's surprised. He's literally just like pouring these alcoholic drinks into Kim's mouth so that she gets wasted and can't do anything. He's just trying to with Elsa and make her obedient, and it does not care about her friend's safety in doing so, right? It like purposefully sabotaging her friend to get her to listen to him. In chapter 43, again, Kim is drunk, and so Xander ends up having to help Elsa get Kim into a guest room. She locks the door so that Kim is safe and away from Xander, away from King. Like, she can't go home at this point, so they post up in a guest room. She locks the door, and after a while of her not being able to sleep, she's walking around the house, and she ends up finding Aiden in one of the like indoor pool areas. And again, that's like her biggest phobia, but she ends up approaching him, faces her fears, and all of her nightmares about drowning, her ongoing fear of water throughout the book, thrown to the wayside. When she approaches him, he convinces her to get into the water. He's holding her in the water, and she again says, I'm not going to be your girlfriend. I didn't agree to be your girlfriend. He grabs her and plunges them underwater. She's like, Aiden, that's not going to make me trust you. Why would you do such a thing? And they end up banging. Her comment at the end of the chapter is, Aiden just took a scary place and he turned it into my happy place. And I, again, hate it here. In chapter 44, weeks go by. The boys, Kim and Elsa, they're cool, they're living life, and Aiden and her have gained more and more trust since the whole pool incident, and they've just been happy. And it's after school one day. He goes off to practice and she goes to the parking lot to leave, but she hears someone talking and she comes to a screeching halt. "You promised, Uncle." My feet stop at Silver's agitated voice. I hide behind the corner leading to the car park and peek my head. Silver stands at a shiny black Mercedes with Jonathan King. His broad, tall frame towers over her. He's wearing a three-piece black suit, all complete with diamond studs. Silver looks pristine as usual in her pressed school uniform and designer shoes. "Keep your voice down," Jonathan says in a firm, authoritative tone. "You said she would be gone. You said Aiden will dump that little bitch Elsa in a heartbeat. Obviously, he hasn't. If anything, he's doting on her more than ever." "Silver, didn't your father teach you the tactic of luring before attacking? A prey is ought to fall harder when she trusts not in danger, not the other way around." "A prey is ought to fall harder when she trusts she's not in danger, not the other way around." That's what Aiden has been doing all this time, luring prey. Now that she trusts him, her fall will crush her apart. My breathing hitches. The itch starts beneath my skin. I grip the straps of my backpack and turn to leave, not wanting to hear anything else. They're lying. They're both lying. "How can you be so sure, Uncle?" I come to a halt despite myself, my fingers trembling around the strap of my backpack. "Elsa's parents killed his mother." "What the fuck?" "The only reason Aiden has ever looked in that monster's direction is to make her pay for her parents' sin." Jonathan and Silver continue talking, but I'm not hearing a thing. My feet carry me in the opposite direction, but I'm not seeing a thing. The color has drained from my cheeks and my heart slams against my ribs, wanting out, out, out. I trip and fall, but I stand back up again. Something burns in my knees, but it's nothing compared to the itching burn beneath my skin. It's like I'm igniting from the inside without fuel or even fire. I trip again, but this time a hand clutches my arm and steadies me. I push whoever grabbed me away. They're asking something, but I can't hear anything over the loud buzz in my ears. My unfocused gaze stays ahead. I'm already in the school, walking God knows where. I need to go to the pitch and ask Aiden to tell me what I just heard is a lie, that his father is mistaken, that my parents didn't kill his mother, that he didn't approach me for revenge. "I will destroy you," he told upon our first meeting. No. My feet falter as I find myself at the edge of the pool. Everyone but the football and rugby teams have left for the day, so it's empty and dark except for the blue water. What the hell am I doing here? I turn to leave, but a strong hand pushes me. I fall, shrieking. The sound is drowned when I'm swallowed whole into the water. Everything turns black. And that's the end of the book. That's it. That's the book. I don't have any interest in reading more. I want answers. I'm assuming that it is Jonathan King, Aiden's father, that is trying to drown her in the pool right now, assumably so. I think her parents killed Aiden's mom. It had to be, right? She's got to be. And also, why is Silver calling him uncle? And Kim called him uncle. Are they all cousins? Because why is Silver pretending to date Aiden if they're cousins? Is uncle just a term of endearment in Europe? You call people uncle? I don't think that's like a thing. I mean, I know it's like a thing in like certain like, whatever, but like I don't think it's like a thing in Europe. Maybe it is. I don't fucking know anything. What do you mean? What is happening? Literally nothing got answered. Apparently book 2 is the same thing, where it's literally the same story told again with like very little more revealed. I can't find anything. I couldn't find any like spoiler Goodreads reviews to give me a breakdown of what happens. It was literally just people complaining about how boring it was and how it was just like repetitive compared to this book. Yeah, I think she was in a trafficking situation. I think Aiden was in a trafficking situation. I think he escaped and maybe tried to save her. Maybe didn't save her. Maybe he's the one that killed her parents for revenge of killing his parents, or his mother at least. Who is the other kid? Is it Kim? I don't know. How is Kim involved? Because she had a problem from 10 years ago too. Is Xander involved in any of this? Is Jonathan actually a bad guy? Why does he hate his dad so much? What's the beef between Jonathan and her? Obviously, I mean, her parents killed his wife, but like, why are we holding a little child responsible for the adult actions? That's kind of fucked up. What do you mean? It was like, this is another one. It's like that Doechii song. whatever. I'm not pulling it up. If you know, if you're cool, do you listen to fucking Kendrick Lamar and Doechii? You're in the right place. I'm in the right place, I guess. Anyway, I'm so glad she won that Grammy for the best rap album. None of that matters. I just don't want to talk about this book. Okay, what was I gonna say? Oh, when I read The Predator a couple weeks ago, I don't know, Runix, I think The Predator by Runix, same thing. I didn't realize that that was part of a series, like a trilogy, and I didn't get any answers for anything in that book. And it was the same thing with this one. I've learned a couple very important things about myself. I mentioned it earlier. I hate bully romances. I don't want to read about high schoolers. I barely want to read about college students. And I cannot read a trilogy. I need a standalone or a duology at most. I'm willing to spare a duology, willing to give that some of my time, but I need standalones, and I will be a lot more careful about what I put in my polls going forward. So next week, I'm going to be reviewing a book that I actually love, because I need to feel something again that is not just utter dread. I will be reviewing This Is How You Lose the Time War. I've got it all tabbed out. I've got the notes. This was a 5-star read for me. So I'll be reviewing this next week so I can feel something again that is not just pain. And if you want to vote on what I review after that, if you go to my posts tab on my profile, you can see the most recent poll. By the time this video goes up, I should have a new one up. And yeah, you can help me pick, figure it out. Like, comment, subscribe, especially if you made it to this point. I appreciate the support that you guys have. I'm so eternally grateful for everything. I have memberships available on this channel as well. If you want to hear me just BS about random stuff, I try to do like 2 videos a month or so of just me talking and just having a good time. My next members exclusive videos, I'm going to be building Legos. I'm going to be building little Legos and just having a little chit chat about things. So if you're interested in that, got memberships in the description box. I got my Spotify link, all that fun stuff. Obviously no pressure for anything, especially if you're hearing this at the end of my video. You have done more than enough to support me, and I'm so grateful for all of you. So with that, I'm gonna go take like a hot shower and try and wash this grimy, shitty feeling off of me, and hopefully never read another Rina Kent book again. Yeah, all right. Thanks guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.